Hi, it's Jamie with JamiesArtsalaCartes. Thank you very much for joining me today. I have another fun little project for us. I had seen lots of little magnets online all over the internet over the last several months, and I thought, oh, I would like to do that. Wasn't necessarily interested in doing a Jenga style little magnets. And I happened to be at an estate sale and I found a whole box of these. And they were $3 for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets. 6 full sheets and then some little loose pieces. And it was $3. And I said, well, $3. I can figure out something to do with that. And I went to check out and they're like, oh, we just went to our half price time. So I got them all for $1.50. So we're going to take a sheet of these and we're going to cut them apart and we're going to see what would look good on this size surface. So I think we have a lot to choose from. I have a lot of different calendars. That'll be ideal. Like this probably would work well. We'll have to see this. I hope this can. I really like that one. Got all these flowers. The ones with the words are pretty small, so I probably would go with something like this that I can cut that little verbiage off. So that's what I'll be looking for, to see what fits. And you know, puppies, those are always popular at our house, so we'll find the ones that can fit, and the other ones we'll find something else to do with or a different surface. But like, I think a lot of these will work. These florals, these are gorgeous. And how about these? These came from the dollar store. How fun. How fun are those? Couple grandsons that might think those are cool, put on their fridge to hang their schoolwork or something like that, maybe. And then of course, who doesn't love peanuts? So this is our project. I'm going to start by getting these cut apart, and basically I'm just going to take a razor blade and I'm going to cut down one side. Now, it might take a stronger tool. I'm not sure. I haven't ever done anything like this. And basically, I'm going to get the sides cleaned up and just basically give it a good scrape. And we'll take it from these little nubs up here to smooth, and probably get a sanding block out and finish it off. So I'll get us, oh, and I've got the magnets. So I've just got some magnets out of my stash that we'll work with. So we'll make a few of these and see what cute little creations we can come up with. All right, I'll take care of this part and then I'll come back to you. This should be a fun project. Looking forward to this one. Okay, I got them cut apart. Found that this was the easiest way to do it. So basically just bending these back to back, the back surface to the back surface, and then that made it a little easier to cut them apart. And then basically I'm going to just take these and work over a surface. I love these oil pans from the Dollar Tree. I don't use them for what they were made for, but they sure do come in handy. I can keep my projects together and contain the messes that I make a little bit. So basically just get them all in here. And then I'm just going to take my razor blade and I'm going to work on a pile of them. And I'm just going to take this and just basically run it down the edge until I feel it feels pretty smooth. And it's just a piece to help when you grout it, to help it stay together until you can get it all set and get it dry. But we don't need that. We're just going to cut it off. What we want is this surface. Alright, so I've got all my little pictures cut out, but I wanted to recap a little bit. So we're using this tile from Adult Tile, and again I got that from an estate sale. It came in a full sheet that I cut apart, scraped and sanded the edges, and then I took calendars, just simple little calendars that you can get anywhere. I got these from the Dollar Tree. So we had just some inspirational sayings, one about puppies, and then the peanuts, and then like for Tonka trucks, grandsons will love that, Zeus, and then Dr. Zeus, and then another inspirational. And basically I just take that back page, this is where I'm getting those at, so I do have some florals in there. Cut off this back page, and then I basically just gave them a rough cut. I even saved this piece here so that I can turn that into something like for a card or something like that. And then you have this. So I've got the tiles cleaned, sanded, and then I just want to show you. I basically just take a regular ballpoint pen and I'm eyeballing it where I'm putting it in the center. And I basically look like I'm looking here to align my where the font will fall. So I line it this way, and then I line it this way, so both ways, to try to get it just about in the center. And then I'm drawing a line. I'm going to cut the line off so it doesn't matter that it's face up. Normally you'd want to hide that line, but in this particular case it's not going to matter. And then I have my outline, which is a little larger than the tile just by virtue of tracing it. And then I'm going to cut it off. And I'm going to start pretty close to the line because I can always go back and trim more. I could use a paper cutter, but honestly it's not worth it at this stage. There's a lot of cuts, and you'll see at the very end, after we get a Mod Podge on, I'll be using the sanding block to clean up the edges. Got to get them to that stage though. So this is just basically the first cut, and I see it's a little big, so let me see how much. I want to take off maybe a 32nd of an inch. So basically it's just a wee bit. So I'm just going to I'm looking at my picture to see where it'd be most pleasing. Height, I can take a little bit more off. And then to get the sides, I probably could have cut a template out of, you know, some of my plastic or whatever. But these are just fun little magnets. And then just like that, you have them, it looks like this. And of course it'll get glued on with a magnet on the back. So to do that again, doesn't matter how busy it is, what I'm trying to do is trying to get those words right there in the center of whatever surface I'm putting it on. This time it's these little tiny tiles. And again, I'm going to look, and as long as that image is pretty center, because I do have some where they're off to the side, but if it's in the center, you basically can just lay your tile on there and line it up like that. Again, trace it. And we're going to go just inside that ink line to let that ink line be our guide, but we're going to go to the inside of it. And by choosing the back page of that calendar, it's pretty sturdy. Some of them are thinner, but even so, by using that back page as kind of like the cover, it's a little bit thicker. Okay, and again, we'll trim it. So we'll take a little bit off each side so that we can keep our sentiment right there centered. And same thing with the top and bottom. And again, you could probably get this in one fell swoop, but I just feel more comfortable doing it this way. I can kind of inch it along, and it turns out quite lovely. That'll be a pretty little magnet. All right, we'll do these last two, and then we're going to start gluing. So we've got all of our little pretty cutouts Mod Podged onto the tiles. I have piles done, but I wanted to show you, wanted to bring you up to speed to this point. And I've got it in this bucket to catch all the dust. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get a smooth edge, because that water, it does knock it down quite a bit, but you need to smooth it out just a little bit. So basically, just gonna scrub it on there. Do all 4 sides, and you come out with something like that. And then I have a cloth over here. Basically just put it down and give it a good rub, and that's all there is to it. So then what I've been doing is, get them back here where we can see them. That little black container, this container here, is just one of those oil pans from the Dollar Tree, but it sure has, they come in handy. I've got several now and they just come in handy. So I take one of these super large Sharpies, and you can tell I've used it quite a bit on tiles, but I turn it and I basically go over it 2 or 3 times, depending on the tile and how well I scrape this rubbery stuff off, because it will act like a resist for the ink in the Sharpie. And basically it just gives it a finished edge. And this is really bumpy, so it's not catching it. So I just do that, just touch it up, and there it is. Alright, there are those. So basically, it just gives a nice little finished edge. And when I Mod Podge, I'll do the top and the sides. So then I take my E6000 and go ahead and get these separated because sometimes they're good and stuck. And I've been letting it set for a good day before I fiddle with them anymore. And I'm just putting a small little amount on there. Alright, we'll let these dry, and then we'll come back and we'll be putting the finishing coat on the top of them. Alright, we'll let them dry and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so we have all the tiles sanded. The next step is to get the first coat of Mod Podge on there. And then I've been trying to put like a second border on there, and then I'll put another coat of Mod Podge on the tiles, and then we'll call them finished. Alright, I want to show you a little technique that I'm working on with these tiles right here. So let me show you that. Alright, so what I have in here is some Mod Podge, and it is this gloss type. I add a little bit of water to it to thin it down just a little bit, because what I'm doing after that is I'm literally taking, I've got a paintbrush and I'm using water, you'll see, but I'm taking the tile and I'm literally dunking it halfway up the black, and then go along each edge to seal that Sharpie on there, and then I'm holding it and letting it drain. And basically what I'm trying to do is get all the air bubbles. And make sure that it's covered well. Let it drain off. Well, this is just a refrigerator magnet. If this was going to be like a coaster or something, that would be a different technique. But then I just sort of let it set to the side and let it dry. And then that's when I come in and add that second border, and then I'll dunk them again and smooth out the surface. I'm trying to avoid brush strokes, which is why I'm doing this, because it's such a small surface. They really show up. All right, again, just wiping those sides. Make sure they get a good coating. You can dip it once, dip it twice, whatever you feel like you need. I'm just trying to get that extra coating on there. And now I'm working the bubbles off of the surface. And if I feel like I've got streaks, like how that one, I could have worked with it more, but the idea with the water, just a little bit of water, and just kind of give it a smooth surface. I see bubbles, try to take them away. That one had a bubble at the bottom, so I'm just sort of flooding it. Something like that. All right, we will let these dry, and then I'll show you that second step that I've been doing with that extra border. All right, so our tiles are dry. So now I want to add this wide border to give them that finished look. And then once the Sharpie dries on this, I'll give it a second coat of Mod Podge and clean up the backs, and then they'll be done. Well, here are our magnets. Got them done. They're dry to the touch, but we'll let them set and cure for a week or so. I'll do some snapshots, some pictures of the individual sets to give you some close-ups. So just to recap, we took some tile that we found at an estate sale, cut it apart, cut off the little connector pieces, sanded them down, cleaned them, then Mod Podge our little calendar pieces on there, and then we added our little border with our Sharpie and gave each magnet that second little coat. Oh, we did add the magnet to the back, but then added that second coat, and I think they turned out very nice. Very pleased with how they turned out. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed yet. And well, until next time, happy crafting!